In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Montegrappa Quattro fountain pen. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. So this is the Montegrappa Quattro fountain pen, and this is part of their contemporary line. And interestingly, there are three different pens that are essentially the same, just with slightly different shapes. And this Quattro has four sides, hence the name Quattro. They now make one called the Auto, which is relatively new, but it has 8 sides, as you would guess. And then they have a Zero, which is just round. Now, the Zero is the most affordable, and I'm going to say affordable in air quotes because it's not cheap. It's 470 euros for steel nib and 895 euros for a gold nib. Now the Quattro and the Auto do not come with a steel nib option. So the retail price for the Quattro is 1,095 US dollars and the Auto is 1,395 euros. Sorry, I don't know the US price for that pen, but they're very much exactly the same pen, just a different shape. So the more sides you have to the pen, the more expensive it is. Now, the Quattro comes with three different finish options. This is the brushed gold finish, there's a brushed black, and there's a brushed silver. I went for the brushed gold because I thought I don't see a lot of brushed gold finishes on pens, so I thought this would be an interesting option. Now, I will say that I got this pen at an extreme discount, like 70% off. And even at that price, this was kind of an expensive pen. It still felt kind of expensive. So let's walk through the pen and I'll talk a little bit about why this pen might cost so much, but also why I think it's really pretty expensive and a pretty tough sell. So, in terms of the design, like I said, it is sort of this square or squircle kind of shape to the body. Now, the finial here, this is sapphire crystal, and then it has this gold Montegrappa logo inside that. It looks, this does look very premium. This looks, I would say this is the most high-end shot of the pen, I would say, where you have this brushed flat finish, and then you have this chamfer, which is polished, and then you have more brushing on the edge there. And it's basically seamless from the brushing metal to the black resin of the body. So this pen, if you look at it closely, it really does show off Montegrappa's quality and just their ability to make very well finished products. Now, so from that brushed ring, we just go into that sort of squircle body. It does taper ever so slightly towards the cap ring here, which again is brushed. And I will say again, you really can barely feel like there really isn't much of a seam here. So I will say that's pretty impressive. And if you look like the metal ring, it's really following the shape of this. They're not putting just some round cap ring on here. So there's quite a nice look to this. Now, it does say made in Italy because these are made in Italy. Now, looking at the clip here, very square clip. And again, we have that, it's brushed with Montegrappa here. We have a roller clip, and then it has this gloss gold chamfer, which again, very impressive. It is spring loaded. Now, Montegrappa says that these pens are tested, or clips are tested to 20,000 actuations. So they are testing them. They're not just slapping whatever on there and hoping it goes out the door okay. Uh, they are putting some engineering into this, which is very nice, something you certainly want to see for, $1,000 pen like this. Then the barrel does taper quite a bit more than the cap towards, again, a brushed metal end to the barrel here, and that follows the shape of the barrel. And again, chamfered there, and then we just have, I think it's just black resin at the end of the barrel there. Very, very nice. Now, in terms of uncapping this pen, uh, 2 full turns. Now, looking inside the cap, if we can see that, there is their standard Delrin black liner there. This pen does seal very, very well. And then looking at the grip section, actually before the grip section, we have very impressive looking threading. The finishing on this pen is, I would say, exquisite. Some of the best that I've seen, certainly for a black plastic pen with gold trim. This is pretty much, I would say, at the very top. And again, they don't do any injection molding, so these are turned or milled. I get those kind of confused. One is where the pen is moving, and the other one is where the machine is moving. But anyway, back here. So brushed finish and gloss finish on the threading there. Really, really nice. And then mercifully, the grip section is actually round, which is really a good thing. There is a pen called Waterman Exception, which I think is a fantastic looking pen, very nicely made pen, but it had a square grip section to go with its square body, and it was super uncomfortable for me. So really, really like that. Here we have the nib, which is a Montegrappa Jovo number 6 14 karat gold nib with Montegrappa's mosaic logo. One of the best looking Montegrappa or Jovo number 6 nibs out there, I think. Plastic feed, pretty standard there. Interestingly, so this is a cartridge converter pen, Montegrappa branded converter. Can't remember, are these threaded? This is a threaded converter, but standard international cartridge converter. The nibs are threaded, but what's interesting about this is this gold ring goes with the threaded nib unit. So I'm not too sure about swapping nibs. You can probably pull them out friction fit. I haven't tried it, but swapping the nibs out because the gold ring comes with it will be a problem. Again, it's brushed right at the end, and then we do have this sort of gloss edge. Really just very well finished. Montegrappa brushes this inner metal part of the section, which is just, more over the top from Montegrappa. Really, really a nice pen. Let's do some measurements here. This is 142 millimeters. That's with the cap, and then uncapped, looking at 132 millimeters. This does weirdly post. It becomes a bit top heavy, but it is a secure posting. And this becomes about 173 millimeters, so very long if you were to post this pen. I pretty much don't use it posted, but you certainly can. Because this tapers so far down, I don't think there's too much risk of, this coming in contact with anything in the cap there and scratching it. So I think that is at least somewhat well thought out in that particular way. Now, in terms of the grip section, I'm going to go for the widest point that's resin here, 10.6, and then right before that, brushed metal ring, 10 millimeters. So 0.6 millimeter taper, not bad. In terms of the weight, now I did remove the converter, so this is without the converter, or any ink in it, that is. About 33 grams, which is really a pretty nice weight. And then uncapped, looking at 17 grams. So very comfortable uncapped. I do think it gets a little top heavy when posted, but not horribly so. So I think this, is a reasonable candidate for posting. Not like my top choice, but there's definitely much worse options. Okay. Now let's do some comparisons with other pens. Here it is with a Aurora Ypsilon Deluxe. Here it is with a Lamy Studio and a Aurora Optima. So this is certainly a full-size pen, not an oversized pen. Here it is with a Montegrappa, I think it's called like the Master's Dart or something like that. This is a massive oversized pen, just so you can see the difference. So nice full-size pen for sure. Okay, let's do the writing sample. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using a Papermine Tomoe River hardcover notebook. These notebooks are excellent for fountain pens. And for Blake's broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. This is the Montegrappa Quattro, and this is a broad, and this is Takesumi Hiroshizuku ink. Try fast writing. Yeah, zero performance issues here. Very, very nice nib. In terms of flexibility, you can push on it a little bit. You're not going to see any real flexibility though in normal writing, but it is just a very enjoyable smooth nib. Has a nice wetness to it. In terms of reverse writing, very smooth actually. And you do get a nice difference in the line there. It is more faint though, obviously not quite as dark, but I would say this is a good candidate for it. Yeah, very smooth for a reverse writer. Yeah, just enjoy writing with this pen. It's very, very comfortable. So, what are my pros and cons for the Montegrappa Quattro fountain pen? Well, I think the pro here, as with pretty much any Montegrappa pen, is the build quality is fantastic. This is probably the nicest finished, black plastic with gold trim pen that I've ever experienced. So it is a wow in like the little details there. I like the unique square sort of quattro shape. I like the sapphire crystal finial with this neat gold Montegrappa logo. And I like that this is, they call this part of their contemporary line. This is a very modern looking pen. And I also really like the brushed gold finish, which complements sort of some of the higher gloss beveling on this pen. I also like that the nib is very smooth, very wet. Now, in terms of cons, the biggest con here is going to be the price. $1,000 for this. Oh, it's really, really hard for me to say that it's worth that. $1,000 you can have a Mont Blanc 149, which has a fantastic nib. I mean, even though I like this nib, the Mont Blanc 149 nib is nicer, and you get a piston filling system, and you get a pen that posts a little bit better. That's one of the other cons. This does post securely, but it becomes top heavy, probably because of the metal and the sapphire crystal, and it just becomes a long pen. So not ideal in that sense. So like as an everyday pen, this is harder for me to recommend than a Mont Blanc 149. But that is kind of it. It's really down to the price. It's just too expensive for me. I do think there's a lot of really nice detailing here that, I do appreciate, but the price, I can't, I'm struggling with it. So if you can get one of these at a heavy discount like I did, I would say go for it if you like the style of it. It's very comfortable, very well made pen, but at retail, it's hard to recommend. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.